Hi, welcome. My name is Zara, and today we are doing something a little different. Welcome to the BN Journal. So, I mainly post bookish content on my channel. However, I decided to start this series because I have a lot to say on just a lot of commentary on politics, philosophy, literature, history, culture, and all the things that are currently going on in our world. Just life in general. I have a lot to say. And so I decided that would be perfect to start a little series where we discuss all of that and talk about it. I would love to hear your opinion on some of the topics that I bring up on my channel. I am so curious to know what you think about everything that is currently going on in our world, from the elites, class difference, poverty, just what it means to be human, what it means to be alive, art and culture and literature, and just deep dive into it all and discuss some things. This series is going to be based off of mainly my voice notes. What I tend to do is whenever I have a thought or an opinion on anything, I just do a quick voice memo and I record it. And I realized I had so many interesting topics to talk about, so many interesting commentary on all the things that are currently going on in our world. So I thought it would be perfect to start a YouTube series where we discuss all of that. I'm so excited for this series and I have so much to say and so much to get into. So I thought I would do a little intro and let you know what this is all about. And if you're new to my channel, hi, welcome. I'm Zara. I love reading, I love books, and I talk about books and books and books on my channel and just everything I've been reading, everything I love reading, all my favorite books, all of that. If you are interested in any of those things, join me on this channel. Make sure to follow so we can meet up very, very soon. I will be posting around 1 to 2 videos a week. We'll see how it goes. To all my Muslims here, Ramadan Mubarak. I hope you're having a great start to your Ramadan. I'm definitely having an interesting and beautiful start to my Ramadan. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we talk about. I'm excited to see how this Ramadan transforms us. And I just can't wait to talk to you guys and yap about all the things that I just find interesting and have a few opinions on. So let's get into it. We are here to discuss it all. My voice notes are prepped. I don't even know how many I have. I have a few, I would say at least 5 to 6. So we'll get through a few topics this episode. But yeah, welcome to the BN Journal. I'm your host Zara, and let's get into it. All right, let's open up my voice notes. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. If I can just find my voice notes, where do they go? Let's start with perhaps my most recent one. Okay, so I was just sitting in bed, and then a thought came to me. Einstein and Nikola Tesla and all these other big thinkers were they were alive only a few decades ago. And it got me thinking how we don't really have a modern Einstein or a modern Nikola Tesla. Do you get what I mean? I feel like a reason for that may be because we don't have time to think anymore. And that is our first topic. Are we moving so fast in society that we just don't have time to think anymore? And I feel like so many people, including myself, was or is a firm believer that higher education just enlightens you, expands your thinking, expands your worldview, and all of that is just so educational and important. And while I do think it is important, sorry, oh, hope that's okay. While I do think higher education is very, very important, and I do think it's so key to be educated and get educated. I don't think it is A, the only way of getting educated, and B, not as educational as people think it is. It is really important and it does open your worldview and it does teaches you a lot. But that being said, the way the education system functions does not give you time to think. Like Einstein and Nikola Tesla and all these big thinkers did not spend all their time scribbling in a notebook, did not spend all their time in front of a laptop, did not spend all their time constantly running tests and trial and error and sleepless nights and having no time. As far as I'm aware, if I'm incorrect, please let me know. I'm totally, like, I want to know exactly what you guys are thinking, so let me know if I'm incorrect. But as far as I'm aware, they did not do that. They did not operate that way. They would just daydream. They would spend so much time, these great thinkers, not of just the last century, but even the centuries before that, would just daydream. They would just sit and think. They would think, they would sit in silence, they would ponder, they would reflect, they would just go over what they have just learned, question what they're learning. There was just so much curiosity in the learning they were doing, in the way they were either educating themselves or getting educated. There was so much, they had time to just sit and think. And I feel like that is what produces great thinkers, because a lot of people study what Einstein studied and a lot of people study what Nikola Tesla studied. Not everybody was able to make the discoveries they made. They were so, they would just think. They had time to think, they would ponder, they would reflect, they would meditate, they would not just be go, go, go. I feel like our current society intentionally operates in this way because it allows the poor to stay poor and the uneducated to stay uneducated, and the middle class to never produce any Einsteins or thinkers, because people don't have time to think. They barely have time to live. Students barely have time to study what they're meant to study. The workload is so much, you don't have time to cover it all. You have to prioritize. Everybody knows that 80% of the paper comes from 20% of the curriculum. So literally your only focus is on the 20% of the curriculum. You're studying what they want you to study, literally, not just in terms of like, oh, the education system and curriculum, they design it, but also what you have to pass your test. You have to pass your exam. You have to score that A. You have to get that job. You know, this whole meritocracy lie of like, if you score well, you'll get a job, etc. They make you believe that and make you push yourself to get an A. To get an A, you need to focus on 20% of the content, the 20% they want you focusing on. Firstly. Secondly, because of that, you're so obsessed with just doing this 20%, you don't have time to think. Even if you don't study the whole content and you're just studying 20%, you still don't have time to just ponder, to just reflect, to just daydream, to just sit in silence and daydream and not be just doing, right? People don't have time to ponder. And that is what they have robbed us of. Like, even the middle class, they have stolen our time. And they want us to continue. they they want us to continue operating in this way of go, go, go. They want us to continue hustling. They want us to continue never having time to breathe and to just sit and think. And so I agree. I really do think that the reason we don't have many great thinkers or great thinkers on the good side, do you get what I mean? Like, good people who want to do good, who are from the middle class, who are from the lower classes, who are not elite. We don't have people like that. We don't have a lot of people like that emerging, producing great work. Even aside from that, even with like the big, like, nobody is making the same discoveries of not just science, of philosophy, of the human soul, or the human, not soul, human, what it means to be human, what it means to be alive, what life is about. We don't have these great philosophers and thinkers anymore because we don't have time to think. Yeah, that is the first take. I want to continue the recording because I go into it. Like, these big thinkers, they didn't scribble in their notebooks or do endless experiments or have, they just sat there and daydreamed. They just sat there and thought. They just sat there in silence. They just pondered and reflected over what they were consuming and what they were studying and learning. And I feel like even if you do have access to higher education, even if you do have access to uni, you don't have time to think. Even in uni, like you just have information thrown at you. You just have information thrown at you. You just have to absorb and learn everything. You don't have time to think or ponder over what this actually means, how this would actually apply, what is the mechanism behind this. You don't have time for any of that. You barely have time to absorb and somehow learn what is thrown at you. And so I think that is another cause for why in this decade we're not really doing too well in this day and age. Is because we don't have thinkers or ponderers or reflectors. Nobody in society is doing that. Some careers obviously don't require as much thinking or pondering. I don't know. I think so. But a lot of careers do. Artists need time. Painters and writers and philosophers and economists, they need time. They need time to think. They need time to ponder. Yeah, and so I want to go into that a little bit. This concept of like absorption. You just have tons and tons of content thrown at you that you are somehow expected to mindlessly absorb. And even with the Epstein files, that's exactly what it is. They released so much of it, so much of this content for us, for our bodies to kind of be hijacked and go into fight or flight mode, go into freeze mode, because it is so traumatic and horrific. And that's exactly why they released that content in such a large amount. And it's the same thing with the content that's thrown at you in unis, in higher education systems, where there is so much of it. It's almost borderline impossible to learn everything. You just learn what they want you to learn, and you are just mindlessly absorbing. You don't even have time to question what you are learning, to really think about how it applies and what it means, and can this even be practically possible? How would I apply this? What are the consequences of it? Is there a different way of doing things? You don't have time for any of that. So you just mindlessly absorb everything that is thrown at you. And mindless absorption is genuinely one of the scariest things, because you aren't even questioning what you are accepting. And that is so damaging. And like I said, artists and philosophers and economists and writers need time to think. And I do think that this hustle culture is affecting these careers and these industries too. However, I will be honest, I do see artists and writers resisting so much in this day and age, resisting to the oppression that is coming our way, resisting so much to the fascism, to the genociders and genocide supporters. And I think that's really interesting. And it shows that these people, these types of people, and the people in these types of careers have time to think, to ponder, to reflect. They are not as go as as people in other industries. And I know it's more complicated than that, but I do think that is one factor in it. Just food for thought. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But I feel like that does play a role in that too. Let's continue. This is going to be a long video. This is already 15 minutes long, and I've only looked at one recording, one one voice memo. Let's keep going. Those in the fields of science, those in STEM fields, we need time to just reflect over what we've learned and how we could possibly use this. That is how discoveries are made. That is how discoveries are made. That is how progress is made, by taking time out to think. It's not always about writing. I tell myself, because I am a writer. I love to write. And so sometimes I don't get a lot of writing done, but I get a lot of thinking done. And I think that's progressive too. And I think that counts towards my goal too. And I think that is propelling me forward to reaching the end of my goal. and accomplishing what I want to accomplish. It's not always about doing. Sometimes it's about thinking. Sometimes it's about reflecting. Sometimes it's about reading. Sometimes it's about learning and studying. And sometimes it is about thinking. Now, I'm not saying that action isn't important, but I feel like as a society, we're moving at a pace that is just not healthy and not helpful to our goals. And I think rest and slow days and slow productivity, slow moments, time spent just doing nothing and just literally sitting under the sun, I think is one of the most productive things you can do. And I really do think that it allows for you to just tap into your creativity, allowing like bursts of creativity almost. And so, yeah, that is that. That is what I'm thinking. That I feel like we need to slow down. Let me know what you think, future Zara, and and the following people who hear this. Yeah, let her know. Let her know what you think. What is your opinion? I agree. Yeah, I do agree with myself. That it does allow creativity to come through when you just spend time doing nothing, and that sounds so counterintuitive that nothing. If I'm not like stimulating my brain with anything, how am I gonna grasp and receive and start being creative? But it truly does. It kickstarts the creative process. You have like all these thoughts and imagination that just kicks in when you are sitting there doing nothing, and you're just like being, really truly you're just being, you're being present. You're not overthinking, you're not contemplating over like the past and just things that you need to let go. When you're truly just being, that is when your creativity kicks in. That is when we're able to resist, educate, learn, question, stay curious, and do what we're meant to do. That is that. We are moving too fast. We need to slow down, to think, to contemplate, to ponder, to be. That's my first take. My first hot take. My first commentary. My first commentary. My first comment. We need to slow down. Our second commentary. I have no idea what it is. I didn't even title any of these. But regardless of that, every time I read something from the Epstein files, every time I read something from that's just released, every time more information comes out, every time I discover more information, I realize that even the way people talk about them, it seems like they have control over everything. They control over our reproductive system, control over our health, control over our money, our children, our wealth. And they just put up this image of I control everything, and they're doing that is because they know this. They think they can control whether a woman can reproduce, but I refuse to believe that because God is greater. They think they can control our wealth, God is greater. They think, oh, they'll injected us with something, and now because of the vaccines or whatever, we can't, I don't know, reproduce. God is greater. God is greater. If a woman is meant to have a child, she will have a child. God is greater. If people are meant to be millionaires, they will be millionaires. God is greater. You do not control our wealth. The elites do not. Like, they put out this image, but I believe it in my soul that God is greater, and that wealth comes from God, and health comes from God, and children come from God, and knowledge, and intelligence, and strength, and power, and wisdom. It comes from Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Comes from God. And no matter how many twisted things the elites do, no matter how many disgusting actions they take, it will all be for nothing. And that is a lot to get into. That is a lot. That is... What do I even say? Yeah, I remember as it was playing, I recall watching a few videos being released about the whole Epstein situation, Trump situation, and just the illusion being unveiled of that, how horrific the elites are, the class struggle that is now unfolding, where people are resisting the oppression that is forced upon them and are waking up. realizing how interconnected everything is. Gaza and the genocide that is happening in Gaza is not separate. It's actually completely interlinked. All these elites, where are they going? They're going Israel. That's where they're going. So, so I was watching a lot of stuff on this topic, and it just kept going back to the point of like the elites control everything. The elites control everything. They control the wealth in the world. They control the children. They control a woman's reproductive system, our bodies. They control what the future will unfold like. They control it all. And it kept, all these videos kept going back to that, and it just made me angry. And I know that they are in like positions of, I guess, some level of power, but I refuse to believe it. And this isn't me denying the stuff that's coming out. I'm not denying the stuff that's coming out. It's me saying that I won't become hopeless. I won't become hopeless. I will not fall into the trap of they control everything. I will not let them believe that, because they don't. If they really truly, if we really truly could do nothing, they wouldn't release these files. If we truly could do nothing, they would not fear us. They would not try and control us. They would not oppress us. We have more power than we think we do. We have God, and God is greater. God is greater, right? Regardless of the fact that they, I don't know, have some level of power, whatever, God is greater. If you are meant to be a millionaire, you will be a millionaire. God is greater. If you're meant to be a mom, you will be a mom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater. If you're meant to be a journalist, if you're meant to be a writer, if you're meant to be making incredible scientific discoveries, if you're meant to be whatever it is that you dream of, that you feel like you can't have, know that God is greater. Know that they have less control than they think they do. They think they're above all. They're wrong. They're so horribly wrong. They're twisted and they're corrupt and they're horrific and they're so horribly wrong. They're not above anything. And all the evil they do will amount to nothing, because they don't control everything. All the evil they do is just for more control, right? Control our bodies, control our minds, control our wealth, control our thoughts, control our children, control our lives, and just monopolize and capitalize over it all is what they want. But they will never be able to do so. And that goes back to thinking. That goes back to thinking. You can't resist if you can't think. You can't resist if you can't read. You need the attention span of a human being, not a goldfish, to be able to read, to be able to understand, to be able to question, to be able to sit in discomfort, to be able to sit in discomfort. Something I gotta learn, because that's like not, it's a work in progress, but to be able to sit in discomfort, not have everything figured out, and hope and have faith that things will get better, that things can get better, that all is not lost. That's exactly what they want you to believe. All is lost. They want you to believe all is lost. And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong on this, and I will fact check, and if I'm wrong, I'll put up a message on the screen. But the Nazis, before they would capture any country, would put out a message, I think on the radio, saying that they like won this country, or like they were fighting in this country and they were successful. They successfully conquered land. They successfully pushed back the other country's troops. They were successful. We are victorious is basically what they would stream before they were actually victorious, to make the opposition feel hopeless, and feel like nothing can be done, because they've already won. And I think that's exactly what they're trying to do now, is they're trying to put out this message of we control everything, you have nothing, so you might as well give up. That is what they want you to think. And that is the one thing you cannot think. You need to have I as a Muslim, I'm all like, I need to have faith that things will be better, can be better, and God is greater. God is greater. Let's continue with that message because I had a lot to say. That's a long one. I think the coffee's kicked in because I was kind of tired earlier. Okay. Because they have no control. God is greater. No matter how many twisted things they do, women that are meant to have children will have children because God is greater. Women that are meant to be millionaires will become millionaires without destroying the planet, without aiding this disgusting system because God is greater. God is greater. And no matter how many lies they put up, God is greater. Strength and power and wisdom, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It comes from God. And no matter how many twisted things the elites do, no matter how many disgusting actions they take, it will all be for nothing. Because they have no control. God is greater. No matter how many twisted things they do, women that are meant to the elites think that they are untouchable, that they are inferior, that nobody, that they manage everything and everything is up to them, but God is greater. And I believe that in my soul, and I will not let them convince me otherwise. That is my truth. That is my truth. I love that. Not mean it doesn't exist. Some people of faith and people are waking up and people are resisting, and the resistance will not be for nothing. The revolution will not be televised, but that does not mean it doesn't exist. It does not mean it is not unfolding. It does not mean it is not happening. People are resisting in bigger and larger numbers than ever. People are waking up in bigger and larger numbers than ever. People are taking action, will continue to take action, will create alternatives thanks to God by tapping into their intuition, into their dreams, into their God-given path. They will create alternatives, and we will inshallah, thanks to God, be able to live in a better reality. This is not the end. If it is dark and if it is twisted and if it is hard, that means we're in the middle of the story, not the end of the story. This is not the end. And I think that is so important. We need to unpack that. I need a minute. But we need to unpack that. I was really angry when I was filming that. I didn't even realize like how passionate I was in the moment. But yeah, like the revolution will not be televised, but that does not mean it's not unfolding, because it is unfolding, and we have such large numbers of resistance to what is happening, not just to what is happening in Palestine, but also to what is happening with ICE, what is happening to in America because of ICE. The rift that is being constructed and made in America to open the path for a civil war. Large numbers of people are resisting, whether that be artists, whether that be writers with their pen, and historians with their knowledge, and artists with their voices, and influencers with their followers. We have people resisting in large numbers. We have people getting educated. We have people becoming educated. We have people spreading the truth. And the truth will never die. The truth will never die. And you can bury it, and you can bury it, and you can bury it. But the truth will never die. And Shakespeare said something on this, and I will quote it on screen because I can't remember right now. Because it is in fact 2, almost 3 a.m. But yeah, Shakespeare perfectly quoted it, that the truth will not die. It cannot be buried. It will come back. It will come back. And it will keep coming back. Truth speakers will keep emerging and keep spreading Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's message. They will keep spreading justice. The truth will not die. The truth will not die. The elites can do whatever they want, spend as much money as they want on the lies and and hypocrisy. But despite all of that, the people have woken up and realized that in Palestine there is a genocide unfolding, that Arabs are not terrorists, that Muslims are not terrorists, despite the ginormous propaganda machine that is producing propaganda of how great Zionism in Israel is. Despite all of that, people have woken up. People know that Zionism is rotten to the core. People know that Zionism is like a virus, like the root of evil, where it is just spreading. It has spread and it's contaminating everything it touches, and it is horrific. The entire ideology, everything from its basis, it's horrific. Resist, and we will unite, and we will continue to experience joy and hold on to joy. They know that no matter how many twisted things they do, they don't have real control. They know that no matter how many ugly, no matter how many ugly things they say and ugly things they release to scare us, it will not lead to anything. They know the power that we hold. They know the power that we have received from God. They know that deep down they cannot defeat a people that are God's people, that have faith in what is not yet currently visible, and believe that there can be a better future. Yep, there's like a little bit left. Okay, I love how I sighed perfectly in sync. Oh, this was a long voice note, and this has been a long video. I literally just did two, and it's already like, oh my goodness. But yeah, no, I really do agree with the fact that I agree with myself. I agree with the fact that they're releasing it to scare us, and the fact that and they are trying to showcase dominance of how much power and control they have. And if they really did, if we were really as insignificant as they want us to believe that we are, they would do no such thing. They would feel no need to do that. The fact that they are doing this showcases that it's an illusion. It's another illusion of like, they are untouchable. They are not untouchable. They will crumble. They will crumble. Stronger than we think we are, and we will get through this. We are stronger than we think we are. And their evil will amount to nothing. Nothing as in, they will not reach their goal. Whatever twisted goal they have, whatever twisted means they took to try and achieve it, it will not. It will amount to nothing. They will amount to nothing. They will not get what they want, whether that be power or control or fame or any of these things. They will not have it. They will crumble, and we need to stay united. Specifically on the united comment, they will try to divide us and keep us distracted with fighting each other so that they can continue climbing the top. And so I think it is so key that we don't fall into that. We don't start hating, and that we stay united, that we stay educated, we uplift each other. I think that's so important. Have joy in our life and hold on to all the things that are important to us, and embark on paths that seem scary and unfamiliar and unusual and unpredictable, because those are the paths that we're meant to take to cultivate and end up in a reality that is better than ours, in a future that is far more beautiful, and one where we can all thrive, where there is no selected justice or selected freedom or selected any of these things, where anybody, no matter what they look like, no matter what they believe in, no matter where they come from, can thrive. So that is that. And that is indeed that. And I think it's, again, going back to that joy point, which I repeat a few times for a very specific reason, and that is we can't. Like I've heard psychologists, psychiatrists, mental health practitioners on the internet say this too, and I do agree with it, which is, as important as it is to be aware of what is going on in our world, as important as it is to be educated on everything that has happened, and just, I guess, be a witness. We cannot get wrapped up in it. We cannot get obsessed with it. We cannot let it corrupt our soul. We cannot let it become our whole life, and our life should not revolve around it. We should have joy and hope and community and love and connection and peace in our life. Their horrible actions and the horrible stuff that they're releasing cannot become our whole life. That is so dangerous and damaging and toxic and counterintuitive. You may think that going down these rabbit holes all the time will help us get answers and figure things out and bring us to a better future, but it will only hijack your body and mind, and you will go into freeze or fight or flight, and you won't be able to process healthily all the traumatic stuff and horrific stuff that is coming out. Yeah, that this cannot become our whole life. And joy and community and hope is so important to hold on to remind ourselves of all the great things that are present in our life, great things that are present on earth, and just pushing for a better future and taking different actions and taking and embarking on different and new and scary paths, because these paths okay, that are unconventional, that don't have a clear roadmap, that are not paved out by the institutions or governments or whatever. These are the paths that we are meant to take. The ones that scare us a little bit, the ones that excite us an incredible amount, the ones that just seem so right and so perfect, those are the actions we need to be taking, because doing what we've always done and following the system will not get us anywhere new. If you want different, you have to move different, and I really agree with that. So that is that. This is the first episode of the BN Journal, Brilliantly Notorious, where we discuss everything from politics, philosophy, literature, history, and culture, everything in between, everything that is going on, everything that is relevant, that is important, that needs to be spoken about. And we just, like I said, simple deep dives into all the things that I have a lot to say on and a lot of commentary to offer. I hope that it got you thinking about what is going on in our world, how to approach all of this, and the kind of action we need to be taking. I feel like I kind of presented a solution before the problem, like thinking and pondering, reflecting, and slowing down is kind of breaking the system, and it is resisting, and it is forcing us to question everything that is going on around us and to find alternatives to the paths that have been laid out. So yeah, like I hope you enjoyed. I hope that got you thinking. That's what I've been thinking on. That's what I've been pondering over recently. I've had a lot of free time, which I'm very grateful for, and and I've been using this time somewhat wisely, trying to just. I feel like I'm really loud because it is 3 a.m. I don't want to be loud, but I feel like I hope I've been using this time wisely. I have been doing some thinking. I want to do more thinking. I want to also take things slower a bit, ponder and reflect over everything. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you will enjoy this series. There are more episodes to come, definitely. I have a lot to say on a lot of different things. So that is that. I hope you're having a great day. Make sure to just spend time doing things you love and engaging in just acts of joy and hope, and knowing that is resistance too. Slow down when you can. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all very, very soon. Till then, take care. I look half asleep. Till then, take care. I will see you very soon. Bye.